I'm very pleased to speak with you here today. Actually, about 4 years ago, when I first started in my role with the City of Moncton, I actually had the opportunity to speak to the same group about the immigration strategy. And so I'm very pleased today to be able to actually talk about the results of our immigration strategy. So I work with the City of Moncton. Moncton is actually now the biggest city in the province of New Brunswick, but I love telling people that because our population in Greater Moncton is around 144,000 people. And we're in a very unique position. We are a Francophone minority community. Moncton is the first officially bilingual city and the only officially bilingual province in all of Canada. And the Bank of Montreal just recently recognized Moncton as the best city to find employment. So hence what you were just recently saying, anytime we have well over 1,000, literally several thousand available positions, about 65% of our population are English speakers, 35% French, and 47% of our population are bilingual. So also KPMG recently recognized Moncton as the lowest cost place city to do business in Canada and the US. And also just recently the Globe and Mail also published an article just a couple of weeks ago that had highlighted that Moncton is also the most affordable city to buy a home in Canada. And it's about $100 per square foot for a home, and that same home in Vancouver, $1,300. And just a few years ago, a local developer bought a castle. Literally, they bought a castle for $400,000 in Moncton and have renovated it, put a couple of $1 million into it, and now it's high-end condos that it's about to open in the main floor a museum, or sorry, an art gallery. So lots of opportunities in Moncton, and we're 20 minutes away from the beach. Just saying. Yeah. So I very much have a very unique position with the City of Moncton. So I work in economic development. My number one priority, however, is immigration. So I do work a lot, obviously, in economic immigration, but the way I see everyone, though, whether you come as a refugee, asylum seeker, or whatever have you, international student, in the end, you are all economic, and everyone needs a job to survive. And also the City of Moncton, we have a very unique position where we consider ourselves to be a convener. So we work very closely with our settlement agencies. We're the agreement holder for the local immigration partnership. And, we have that opportunity to bring people to the table. And that's the great thing about a smaller urban city as well, is that we can get people to the table. And people in New Brunswick are very, very motivated to grow. And that's what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today. So since the 1980s, Greater Moncton has been an economic success story in reality. Between 1988 and 2011, the economy actually doubled in size. The number of new people in the labor force has actually increased by 60%. And actually, most of that population growth, though, was us pulling from other parts of New Brunswick. However, we know that has declined, and as a result, our labor market is actually tightening. Our unemployment rate hovers around 6% or so, and we have very much a tightening labor market. We do recognize that immigration in the years ahead is going to be our primary source for population growth, and we want to continue to grow as a city. So in 2013, the City of Moncton recognized that we needed a more coordinated approach to immigration. We held an immigration summit, and during that summit, economic, business leaders, settlement agencies, everyone had said at that summit that, we want to continue our economic and our population growth, and we realized that we need a more coordinated approach to how we're going to be working with immigrants, how we're going to be attracting more people, and making sure that their skills and expertise better align with the labor market. So as a result of that, our strategy was created, and really has three broad areas that we focus on. And the first is attraction of new immigrants and increasing that amount of immigrants coming to our community. Boosting efforts in terms of retention and integration of newcomers, as well as ensuring that our entrepreneurs are well supported and that they play a very important role in our economy. So underneath those three main objectives, there's actually 18 core objectives to ensure that success. But like you know, any strategy is just as good as the actions you put in place. And that's why people in Greater Moncton have been extremely motivated in putting together tangible actions. My theory has always been you could do as much as you want behind your desk. It's important. You have to work on your computer. But it's those visible actions that immigrants need to see to feel motivated, that international students need to see to feel a part of their community. So since the implementation of our strategy and up till more recently, our immigration levels have doubled in Moncton. So from 628 in 2013 to about close to 1,300 now. And immigration rate per 10,000 population has risen from below 42%, the national average, and now it's on par with the Canadian average. So we've seen a huge shift in the amount of immigrants that have been moving to Moncton to make their new home. And between January and July 2018, permanent residence admissions to Greater Moncton was higher than the entire 2017 year. And a lot of that has to do with people working together. You know, our motto is oftentimes, your success is our success. So if our settlement agencies are successful, if newcomers, when they move to our cities, are successful, then in turn, we as a city are successful as well. And the Minister of Immigration last year had said something very good at the Conference Board of Canada conference. They had said it's at the municipal level that oftentimes you see the cracks in the economic or the social systems. So we have that advantage that people will come to us, whether employers, whether newcomers, international students, and really give us their account of what's going on in the community, which allows us to shift and pivot to make sure that we're serving their needs. And since the early 2000s, actually, we've seen a 500% increase in the amount of immigrants that have been moving to our region. So you could just see here the graph in terms of the increase. So from 2003 to 2017, I love statistics, so I can't wait till the more recent numbers come out, and I'll be able to share those with you. So in terms, though, we still have a lot of work to do. So right now, immigration is making up more than 51% of our current population growth as per the last census. But you can see there that we're still behind a lot of the parts of Canada. So we have to continue to be proactive and to be active in better aligning our services and telling people about the great opportunity that we have in New Brunswick and in the Greater Moncton area. So you can see there, too, we're on par with other Atlantic cities such as Halifax, but still, when you look at Regina, Calgary, Toronto, we have a lot of catching up to do in terms of how many immigrants we need to welcome. Like I'd mentioned, right now we're about 1,300 people per year approximately. We actually need to get to about 2,500 per year in about the next 2 years if we want to maintain our economic and our population growth and our trajectory. So we need to do a lot of work on that, and also other things have come into play that certainly assisted us in that, and I'll get to those in just a moment. So how was our immigration strategy achieved? So one of the biggest priorities within the Greater Moncton immigration strategy was actually the implementation of the local immigration partnership, and we have our LIP coordinator, Mohammed, here with us today. There's Mohammed. He's a great guy. And so the role of the local immigration partnership has been excellent. So right now, our LIP has 70 members, involves all levels of government, settlement agencies, newcomers, private business, and it's really to help implement the Greater Moncton immigration strategy. So we have 4 working groups: Immigration francophone, entrepreneurship, labor market, and welcoming communities. And each year, those working groups are tasked with implementing tangible solutions, so action plans every year to help achieve the strategy. And right now we're working on our final report that will be released in January, but there's been many interviews with key stakeholders to ask them, you know, what have you achieved so far to help implement the strategy? And really looking at those LIPS working groups and those action plans on how we can really provide those tangible outcomes, but also we've tracked those over the years. So some of the key objectives, there's been a lot achieved, but I wanted just to highlight a few of them. The Atlantic Immigration Pilot has, for our community, been a huge success. So within our region, since 2017, there's been 118 employers that have registered as designated employers and have made over 440 job offers. That's been huge in terms of better aligning our employers with immigrants that are arriving so that they actually come with a job, and then we can also work with their spouses and ensure that their families are well connected to the community. We've also launched a series of newcomer and international student job fairs, and so far we're working with 170 employers and have filled over 250 positions in key sectors. And actually that's contributed to about $8 million in payroll to our economy. Also, the Chamber of Commerce is extremely involved as well, and they actually do annual surveys of their members, and they have about 750 of them, and it allows us to get information from employers on what they need, and then in turn that feeds back into the local immigration partnership and allows us to better plan our employment fairs to make sure our employers are supported. In terms of developing a single comprehensive website for immigration, in the past, settlement agencies and newcomers had reported about 40 different websites to get information on immigration or about the City of Moncton, how to find housing. And just recently, about 2 months ago, we launched New Brunswick's first immigration portal. So everything you need to know before and after you arrive. And it really feeds into all of our partners, all of our settlement agencies. Everyone's information's on there with direct links. So we're using that as a tool to help attract and to retain newcomers and international students when they arrive. In terms of working with existing immigrants as ambassadors who promote Greater Moncton, so I was very happy to hear your accounts about ethnocultural associations. Those are very strong and vibrant within the Greater Moncton area, and we actually have about 20 ethnocultural associations. Even today, the Lebanese association's raising their flag in front of City Hall. There's a big celebration to celebrate their national holiday, and so that's even going on today. Our city council also has invested a lot in immigration and started a new immigration grant that acts as seed funding for ethnocultural associations or settlement agencies to get projects started. So we all know it's a lot easier to secure funding when you already have a little bit of funding. So we've used that as a great catalyst to get some programs going. Also, we've launched success stories and video testimonials, as well as the Multicultural Festival. It's a partnership between MAGMA, our local settlement agency, and the City of Moncton, has expanded and now is on the waterfront. And in Moncton, it's one of the biggest festivals that we have in our city. Postsecondary institution is also extremely important. We have several within the Greater Moncton area, a very large Francophone university. It's actually the largest Francophone university east of Quebec City. So we've really focused on that bilingual workforce, and we're very pleased that there is an international student stream under the AIP. And we do such activities as welcome events for international students. So when they first arrive, we want to connect them to the services as soon as they get here. We also have job fairs that are just for international students. And so far, 84 international students have secured employment in our community as a result of those job fairs. Also, our Francophone Settlement Agency has also started an international student retention initiative that focuses on English language skills, because they're Francophone international students, paired with soft skills so that they could better integrate the labor market as well. So ensuring alignment and coordination, that's really a lot where the local immigration partnership had come in. That was a cornerstone in, I think, our success so far, and we want to continue to build on that. So our LIP meets monthly, the working groups every 2 months, and there's more and more partners that are becoming involved in that. And we want to make sure that we have, obviously, immigrants, international students at the table as well at all times in all of our working groups. Of course, our website and also the province of New Brunswick has also started an employment and training working group to work directly with serving newcomers and international students in our community. When it comes to more immigrant-friendly public and personal services, the City of Moncton, we have an annual welcome event. So when immigrants first arrive in our community, we have the mayor, members of council, all of our public services, fire department, RCMP, public libraries there to welcome them. And it's a huge celebration that we do every year. And so far, about 1,000 people have attended, and it's an annual event. We've also launched a newcomer guidebook, again, to give people that information, that one-stop shop where you can find everything. It's in a book as well as online. Our Anglophone and Francophone school systems have both opened welcome centers. So when immigrant children first arrive, they can find all their information in one center. And our public library is also extremely involved as well. And they provide free space to all the Ethnocultural Associations to be able to do, story time in Portuguese for the Brazilian Association and all sorts of different activities. So they've been an excellent partner on our local immigration partnership as well. So municipal governments leading by example, that is a big deal, especially if you're working in immigration. We know that all of our government agencies need to become more diverse. So a part of our strategy was making sure that in each city hall, so Greater Moncton is Moncton, Riverview, and Dieppe, we have a point person that's dedicated to immigration and dedicated to working with newcomers and our settlement services. The City of Moncton is also currently working on a diversity and inclusion policy, and we really focus on hiring international students over the summer, because we know that if we have students over the summer, then when they graduate, if there's positions that are open, obviously we'll always try to keep the good people, but also at the same time, they'll act as a reference. So if they want to work in Greater Moncton once they're done their studies, they'll have an excellent reference as well. We also work with a no wrong door approach to immigrant support. So we have all sorts of information in all of our agencies. Our newcomer guidebooks and information on our website has been distributed to over 30 different partners. So it doesn't matter what door a newcomer walks into or an international student, they'll get the same type of information. And also, all of our frontline employees have received cultural competency training, including all of our Kodiak Transpo bus drivers, which is public transit. So looking forward, it's important to see, what are some of those challenges? There's a lot more things we need to work on. We feel that we have a very good base when it comes to creating a more welcoming and inclusive and dynamic community, but there's a lot more things moving forward. So for instance, lobbying for positive changes on government policies. We also need to focus on attracting and retaining more international students to ensure that we can help fill that talent pipeline. Also, really focusing on the alignment of the people that we're, inviting to come to our community and making sure that their skill sets match what's on the ground. So we always hear, you're coming, yes, to a country, yes, to a province, but you're coming to a city. But when you work for the city, that is so important, because it's, we don't say, the province of New Brunswick or Canada. You say Moncton, you say Fredericton, you say Toronto. So it goes right back to the municipality. So that alignment is so important for cities to be involved with that. More efforts to attract export-focused entrepreneurs, including tech startups. So again, there's lots of opportunity for that in our community. And also looking at succession planning. New Brunswick is an aging province. That's certainly no secret. So that also has a lot of opportunities for newcomers who want to start businesses. There's a lot of great businesses that are for sale, and they're looking for someone to take those over. And in terms of language training, that's very important. Also looking at supporting more ethnocultural associations, those diasporas, those groups are so important in providing kind of the next stage of immigrant support when people first arrive. We know that they stay with settlement agencies for a period of time, but then they obviously get involved with their religious communities, ethnocultural associations. We want to make sure that they're all very well supported. So this is my favorite slide. So recommendations for success. So I can't stand here before you without having the opportunity to talk about, from a city perspective, a mid-sized urban city perspective, what we need. So municipalities really do need to be consulted on immigration matters and the needs of their community with a direct formal dialogue with IRCC. This is very important because, like I said, we want to be involved with people that are coming to our communities early on. There's a lot of opportunity for us to work with pre-arrival services to make sure that the information that's being provided directly reflects the needs of our community. And we want that formal dialogue with IRCC. We also want greater support for Francophone immigration and Francophone minority communities. That for us is a very high priority, and we really want to see additional supports and fundings to those agencies, because that's, for us, bilingualism is essential to our community and to our future growth. So I very much agree with you. We would also love to see pre-arrival services, but also from a language component. So whether you're a Francophone immigrant moving to New Brunswick, being provided English training prior to arrival, and then on the other side, the same thing. So that would allow people to better integrate the labor market early on. We would also like to see increased services for international students, which is very important. So employment, language training while they're in their studies, so that as soon as they graduate, the ones that want to stay can access the labor market. We would also like to see IRCC have a greater presence on the ground. We used to have an IRCC office in Moncton, and that was closed a couple of governments ago, and we would love to see whether an office or a traveling office that would allow people to get their questions answered. And we would like to see the AIP remain a permanent immigration stream within the Atlantic provinces with increased quotas. And probably one of the most important things would be access to retention statistics. So for a city, for a region, it's really important to see where you are and if you're improving, if you're moving the needle. So if we could have regular access to retention statistics, it would likely help us improve our ability to serve people and allow us to pivot to make sure we're doing things right. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day.